I think it's safe to say that we were all wrong about the Bengals. Even though you were slightly leaning towards picking them, but you didn't pick them.
Yeah, I wasn't considering picking them. I was just saying that there's a chance, KC comes out flat, and it was the opposite. KC came out hot, and the Bengals still managed to come back.
I think, because we posted a TikTok clip about our prediction, and it has a lot of views. You are the reason the clip doesn't look as awful.
Thanks, Joel.
As it could have looked.
I'm glad only my score prediction was in it, to be honest with you. I didn't say anything else. I
think somewhere in that clip, I feel like one of the first sentences I said is, I kind of feel like this could be a blowout, and I kind of saved myself towards the end, but yeah.
My first sentence was like, I think they'll score just enough for this not to be a complete embarrassment. But it was trending that way, bro. 21-3.
Yeah,
like, come on, bro.
We all thought I was watching the game with Drew. We're like, damn.
I was throwing victory laps at halftime. I was with my dad. I was like, Dad, I told you.
But the thing is, when we texted during the game, and I said, man, this game is just horrible. You said it was like this last time, and the Bengals came back.
Yeah, it was. They did come back.
It
from
was
the
pretty
exact same
identical,
deficit.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm surprised to hear you say that you're telling your pops that, it was a lock. I knew KC was going to win.
It's hard to remember that, though, at week 17, when you're looking at KC just dominating them, to think, oh, it could happen again, just because, we've seen it once. What's the chance it happens again?
Because we thought that the Bills were better than the Bengals. That's ultimately what it was. And the fact that the Chiefs had came out so hot.
Some people at this table thought the Bills were better than the Chiefs.
I really do think
Do you think the Bills would have beaten the Bengals?
I do think that would have happened, yeah.
I think, who knows?
He just came back from 21-3 against KC.
Man.
And KC.
I don't know. Well, Mahomes had a historic choke for at least him.
Yeah, he had a really bad half.
I feel like the Bills blew their opportunity this year. This was the year for them to go all the way.
You really think this was the year?
This was the year.
No Trey White. Secondary was obviously really great this season.
Josh Allen was flawless.
But he's going to be flawless again.
For years.
I know, but
losing Daboll's going to hurt, though. We'll get into that later.
It's going to hurt,
Daboll's going to hurt.
I feel like this year was the Bills' year, and losing to KC really messed that up.
I don't know, bro. Josh Allen is 24.
I get that, but
is he still in his rookie? Or
this year, I felt like the AFC was wide open for the most part.
Why wouldn't it be? I mean, next year will be a little bit tighter, but the Bills are still probably going to have the second best odds to come out behind the Chiefs, or they may even have the best odds.
They might have the best odds, truthfully.
I guess.
Because people are going to sleep on Cincinnati again.
Yeah.
I mean, Cincinnati's only going to get better.
The AFC is just nuts with quarterbacks.
Yeah,
bro.
I agree.
The competition at the top.
I'm not either. But I'm saying Cincinnati's only going to get better, but we've seen it in past history where teams are not automatically favored if you win the Super Bowl.
And we'll recap the game in a little bit, but you said something good right there. I don't know why. On TikTok, I'm the face of the Bengals, being wrong about the Bengals and stuff. Somebody made an edit about it. It has 2.5 million views right now.
Yeah. That video is nuts.
I didn't give a record prediction. I just said Joe Burrow torn ACL. I mean, come on. Let's stop acting like people thought the Bengals were gonna be good.
I'm with you.
You can go through every single content creator, analyst, person that gets paid on TV, whether it's ESPN or Fox or whatever other sports network.
There's only one. I'll give him his credit. Dan Orlovsky.
He didn't even say it in the offseason.
That was week 3. It was early.
That was when the Bengals started out good.
I was going to say there's a clip of me saying that I think that the Bengals could come out of the AFC at some point in this season too. There's just
you did say that. You did say that.
Yeah.
Everybody in the offseason didn't see this coming from the Bengals. And that's what makes the story so special. I get it. It's fine to pick at, people being wrong and stuff. But let's not act like this was an abysmal take to say the Bengals weren't going to make the playoffs or even make the Super Bowl. I mean, come on. Nobody expected it. That being said, I'm disappointed in myself.
Why, though?
I owe it to the fans out there that listen to the opinions on this show and listen to my opinion on the show better. I've went 1-6 these past 2 weeks in my playoff predictions.
Not great.
My dad made me feel a little better about it, though, because he was like, most of these games have been...
I'm sorry. You just are so funny in the way that you say things sometimes.
My dad told me, he said, most of the games came down to the final second.
Definitely.
The Packers losing against the Niners, I thought the game was going to come down to who had the ball last. Niners had the ball last. I picked the Bengals over Titans. Chiefs versus Bills. Come on. Bills, you only have to guard the Chiefs for 13 seconds. And they lose.
That hurt.
Who could have predicted 3 upsets in the divisional round?
Yeah.
I predicted 2. That's it. And the Rams and Bucks, I got that wrong. I was really wrong about that. Then this past weekend, AFC Championship, Chiefs and Bengals. The Chiefs blow a 21-3 lead. An 18-point lead. That's tied for the most in championship history. Like, come on. And then the Rams and Niners. Jaquiski Tart, man.
Jaquiski Tart.
Jaquiski Tart.
He's the scapegoat in all of this, bro.
Jaquiski Tart.
Not Jimmy G playing like ass.
Chill. He did not play like ass until it mattered, unfortunately.
Jaquiski Tart, man, when he dropped it, I already knew. I already knew when he dropped it. That's going to cost him right there.
Of course.
I knew it. I knew it.
That was the one mistake that Staffy made in the entire second half.
I had no clue what he was doing. Like, even the replay, I was like, bro, where are you throwing it?
I think this is just
You know what they say, bro? Sometimes you eat the bear. Sometimes the bear eats you.
Shout out to Stan Dehls.
This is the football gods teaching me a lesson in humility. Because last season, I picked the Bucks since June. They got blown out by the Saints twice in the regular season. I stood firm. I stood my ground. They ended up proving me right to the point I bought a Bucks hat. It's over there, and a Brady jersey. I was gonna wear it on the show today because he retired. I wanted to honor him, but I didn't really want to do that on this show. This was the football gods trying to humble me, making me go 1-6. And what makes me feel better about all of it is that LeBron James choked in 2011 against the Mavericks. Patrick Mahomes just choked against the Bengals. We just saw it this past Sunday.
Without a doubt.
We've seen legends have bad stretches, have bad games.
Yep.
I'm going through a bad game, a bad stretch, but I'll be back.
I agree.
Of course.
I'll be back.
I agree.
LeBron 2012 revenge tour.
Now, on the contrary, there's me, who picked the Rams week 1. And here we are. I got bashed for that game against the Niners, the game against Tennessee, in prime time because Staffy couldn't get it done. Now here I am, sitting here with my Ramley. As we're here together, boys. We're here together. We didn't get here alone. And we're going to the bowl, the big game. And Matty Staffy, he gets his chance to show the world, including my friend Joel over here, that he's that dude.
I don't question Matthew Stafford.
Oh, you're over it?
I don't trust him.
You have very weird wordage. No. I don't trust him, but he makes dumb decisions. Like, the way you word things is very specific, so you could come back and be like, oh, I never said I didn't trust him.
No. Last show we got him.
I don't trust him.
Oh, my
God.
But
what did you just say? I don't question him. I'm not going to question his ability.
You don't question him, but you don't trust him.
Yes. Lamar Jackson, you know he's a great quarterback. I don't fully trust him in the playoffs.
Do you question him, though?
Wait, so you still don't trust Staffy in the playoffs after he... Come on, bro. Come on.
He's got to win the bowl. He just got to do the whole thing.
We'll talk about the Rams next segment.
We will.
But, no, I still don't fully trust Stafford.
Insane.
I don't.
Insane.
I don't. It's just a gut feeling for me, bro. It's just, how I trust my quarterbacks.
All right, man.
I knew in 2009, 2010... The guy right behind me, Sanchez.
All right, then let's
trust that guy.
Let's talk about the guy who your gut feeling told you could one day potentially be the greatest of all time, and Patrick Mahomes. Let's talk about him.
Me, Patrick Mahomes. Talk about him.
Let's talk about him. Why not?
Okay, yeah, you're right. Let's recap the game real quick.
Let's do it.
Well, I thought Mahomes was bad situationally late in the game. Really, Lou Anarumo, I think that's how you say his name, defense coordinator for the Bengals.
Yeah.
They just made an adjustment in the second half, and they dropped 8. They basically covered the Chiefs how a defense would cover the air raid system. They just dropped back a bunch of defensive backs, and Mahomes wasn't being patient with his throws. It felt like he wanted the big play the entire time. And also, just some Bengals made some big-time plays. B.J. Hill getting that interception on that RPO, that was a big-time play. And Mahomes, I think, really struggled in just being aware and sensing pressure. Mm-hmm. It felt like he bailed the pocket early a lot in the second half.
You think so?
I do think so. In the first half, he was damn near. He was great.
Oh, no, he was perfect.
He was great. But I felt like they started to struggle the last possession of the first half where the Chiefs had perfect position to score a touchdown. They were right in the red zone. They could have even scored a field goal. But Mahomes, instead of recognizing the situation and being smart about it, instead threw it to Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek Hill also has some blame because instead of getting out of bounds, he tried to steamroll 2 defenders to get to the end zone. Chiefs had no timeouts. He gets tackled. Now the Chiefs get no points before the half. I mean, that situation, that's just abysmal by the Chiefs. But the second half, I mean, nobody could have saw the Chiefs scoring 3 points in the second half at all.
Yeah.
And I think it's a credit to the Bengals. You know, we talk about Mahomes choking a lot, and I think that's what the internet's rolling with right now. But the Bengals just were perfect defensively, and their secondary players did a hell of a job covering KC. And KC has to go out in the offseason and get another receiver to pair up with Tyreek Hill because they have Hill, they have Kelsey, but those other guys are non-factors. I know McCole Hardman had a pretty big play in that game, but he's a non-factor. He's not what he was sought out to. He's not what people thought he was going to be.
What's interesting about that is that I felt like there was a momentum shift when on the sideline you see McCole Hardman and Tyreek Hill and a couple of guys on the offense start to get into like a little spat. Something's going on the sideline, and McCole Hardman's saying, "Get me the ball. I'm open. Pass me the ball." Now, it's interesting because clearly we know that McCole Hardman is probably the fourth option if we're not going to include the third option if we're not including the running back, but including the running back, he's probably the fourth option in KC right now. But McCole Hardman had some huge plays on Sunday, and he definitely was open a bunch where the offensive coordinator was coming in and was like, yes, like he's getting open, like maybe you could see him. But I feel like McCole Hardman was a non-factor after that moment. And that whole time, the offense is just stalling. They had 4 punts in the second half. They had an interception from Mahomes. Obviously, that was it was a great play by the defender, but like a bad decision by Mahomes. It's like the defender's in your face. Stop trying to be the Superman that you think you are, that he's shown to at least give him some kind of credit.
And I think even if he got it through, there was a defender behind him.
No doubt. It was definitely an ill-advised decision by Mahomes. And then you get into field goal range, a very impressive drive to go about 50 yards to get yourself into field goal position, a 14-play drive to get you in field goal position. That was impressive, where it seemed the complete opposite of the first game where the Bengals had a ton of tries to get into the end zone, except they capitalized and got into the end zone where Kansas City was only able to get into field goal range and kick the field goal ultimately. But that last drive, Mahomes almost blew the game for them, where that's why I say, do you think that he escaped the pocket too long? Because in that one moment, throughout the entirety of the game, I agree. I feel like it was a little bit of where he was a little bit scared in the pocket. Not scared, but like he was quick to evade the pocket like you were saying, sure. But in this one moment particularly, he's cooling in the pocket. He's chilling. Nothing is happening. You're Patrick Mahomes. Take off. Why are you just staying stagnant in one spot for seconds waiting for something to happen? We saw last week where early in the game, you decided to take it into your own hands and you made big play after big play in that first drive, which ultimately ended up leading in a touchdown. You led your team in rushing yards that game. You shown to be a factor with your legs. Why didn't you show us a little bit of that more this past weekend? And then you get into overtime. And Mahomes, again, gets the ball, and we're all thinking this game's over. But there was nothing they could do that drive. Did nothing the first 2 plays, and the third play, they decided to go deep to Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill's the scapegoat. Just, close your eyes. Oh, Tyreek's down there somewhere. And in double coverage, we've been giving Jesse Bates this endless credit. That's one thing we can at least be proud of. We've acknowledged that Jesse Bates has been a difference maker for the Bengals, and he made a stellar play on the ball, step for step with Tyreek Hill, at least playing perfect defense on him to get a hand in the last second, no interference whatsoever, and was able to tip the ball for his defender to make a play and ultimately get the interception that led the Bengals to kick their field goal to win this game. But Mahomes was rare this game, where we saw Mahomes be Mahomes that we've been accustomed to in this first half. And second half, he was like week 5 Mahomes, where he was irrelevant in a game. It was shocking to see. For me personally, obviously, we know my agenda when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. I don't want him to do well. I'll be honest. That being said, I was shocked nevertheless. And to see him play that bad was crazy.
That's one thing I would give Josh Allen over Mahomes is Mahomes gets into these slumps. And we've seen it this year, earlier in the year, where he went on a few game slump, almost a month, where he didn't look like himself. The offense didn't. And that's one area where I think Josh Allen has him just being more consistent quarterback all throughout. But you nailed it, man. I mean, it's a tale of two halves. Same thing that happened week 17 where the Chiefs come out hot, look spectacular, and it looks like there's no chance that the Bengals could come back in this game. And you mentioned it, Joel. The second half of the game, the Bengals played a lot more man. They dropped back in coverage because the zone was really killing them. Because whenever Patrick Mahomes would either step up in the pocket and run, he would outrun the linebacker, or there's a couple plays where he would step up, the linebacker would step up, and now you have McKinnon open in the flat, and you're able to get a big play there. Mahomes in the second half, when facing three-man rushes, was 3 for 8 for 15 yards, one interception, and 4 sacks. He was able to do nothing in coverage. He wasn't able. You just got to give credit to the defense, like you said. It's easy to say, "Oh, Mahomes had a bad game," but like when there's nobody open and you're dropping 8, and they were still getting some pressure with only 3 rushers. They had 4 sacks, only rushing 3 against a stellar Chiefs offensive line. So you got to give credit to the Bengals and how good their defense played in the second half. But a few takeaways. The field goal at the end of the first half was very questionable, not taking the field goal, because you're giving the Bengals some momentum. Up until that point, you have all of the momentum, everything's going your way. And now instead, they get I don't know what down it was. There's only 5 seconds, might have been third down. But now they're getting the momentum going into halftime. They're thinking, okay, like, sure, we're down 18, but at least we're not down 24, 25 now, right? We still have a chance to come back into this game. So the Bengals go into the locker room feeling a little bit better about themselves. The Chiefs feel a little bit worse, and that definitely played in the second half of the game. I also think you mentioned the defensive coordinator. It was also interesting how they were playing their spies with him. That play that you mentioned, the third down play when they kicked the field goal, the Chiefs did to go into overtime. Hubbard was actually the one who was playing QB spy that play. Like normally you have a linebacker. He had a great game. He had a phenomenal game. He was the one who was the spy. They only rushed 3 or 4, but then once Mahomes started running around and going crazy, once he saw an open lane, he just looked like a bullet and went right through Mahomes, right through the offensive line, was able to sack Mahomes, almost made him fumble as well. And I think it's important to note, if you're a Bengals fan, this is a game where Joe Burrow didn't backpack you. A lot of us thought that if the Bengals are going to, go far in the playoffs, make a Super Bowl run, we all expected it to be on the back of Joe Burrow. He's going to have to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns every game. He's going to have to be the focal point of this offense and this team overall. And that really hasn't happened throughout the playoffs. I mean, the first game against the Raiders, he was 60% completion, 250. Am I looking at? First game against the Raiders was 70% completion, 244, 2 touchdowns, 0 interception. A really solid game, but 240 and 2 touchdowns, that's good. That's not Hall of Fame level. His game against the Titans, 350 yards, but an interception, no touchdowns, a QBR of 28. In this game against the Chiefs, 60% completion percentage, 250, 2 touchdowns, interception. He's not putting up these video game numbers like we saw at the end of the regular season. So it's good to see that they're really playing as a team. And the offensive line, even though they allowed 16 pressures, which was even more against Tennessee, Burrow was able to get the ball out quicker. He only got sacked 1 time, and it was a team effort because that's how you're going to have to beat a team like the Chiefs.
And that's where we got to give Burrow his credit, where we saw him be very elusive in the pocket, evade some big-time sacks. One specifically, Chris Jones is right on his ass. He's about to sack him. He somehow escapes it. He's able to outrun Chris Jones while Chris Jones breaks a tackle and goes and gets the first down. It was amazing, that play, and it's very interesting because I feel as if we haven't seen a lot of, I said this a little bit before the show, we haven't seen a lot of big time throws out of Joe where it's like, oh my goodness, this guy has a one-of-a-kind arm. How did he fit in that window? But it's been big plays where he's the one doing the work to get out of the pressure that he's being felt. Another one where the pressure being felt on his strong side. He somehow breaks out of it and sees Jamar Chase, who's in double coverage, just break out into just open space. That's because Joe Burrow made that play happen with his legs. So we got to start giving him some credit in terms of, he may not have the best arm, the most fantastic arm, but he has big play ability.
The Bengals did a great job at disguising what they were going to do pre-snap. They would give Mahomes these 2 high looks. Then in the middle of basically their formation, before the ball is snapped, they would now shift to 1 high. And Mahomes like, okay, only one back now. Then when the ball is snapped, they would go back to 2 high. So they did a great job at disguising what they were doing on defense. And you made an excellent point. Maybe in a traditional sense, Joe Burrow didn't backpack the Bengals. Like, we saw Josh Allen with the Bills. I think the Bengals deserve a lot of credit on defense for holding the Chiefs with 3 points. There's no doubt about that.
And Joe Mixon had a great game too, surprisingly, where I've been down on him these last couple weeks.
And the run game got going in the second half. But I will say this. I kind of believe Joe Burrow backpacked. Like, versus the Raiders, I think he little bit of a grinded out game, but he showed you why he's a great quarterback.
Yeah.
Those timely plays he makes. Versus the Titans, he had a lot of timely plays.
Oh, I agree. I think situationally he's been fantastic.
Then with the Bengals versus the Chiefs, he had 3 third-down scrambles for first downs.
Yep.
He escaped a sack from Chris Jones, threw it right to Jamar Chase, who they were double-teaming the entire game. KC was.
Yep.
Joe Burrow makes these situational plays that are winning plays. And in that sense, I say, like, maybe, okay, he didn't backpack them, but I'm saying the only reason they won is because of Joe. Like, the biggest reason they won is because of Joe.
The biggest reason they won against the Chiefs is the defense. They gave up 3 points in the second half and overtime.
They also let up 21 in the first.
I know, but if you're giving up 24 points to the Chiefs, you should probably feel pretty good about yourself.
It was a great team effort, which I feel like that's ultimately what we're all agreeing on. The defense needs to be at a different level if you want to beat Kansas City.
And I also think everyone knows Joe Burrow. Everyone knows Jamar Chase. And we've been giving them praise all year. And even coming into the season, no one thought the Bengals defense could do anything remotely close to this.
As crazy as this would sound, the reason why the Bengals won, T. Higgins.
Great game.
T. Higgins was sensational. He was so damn good this past weekend. Big catch after big catch after big catch. After the first half, I think he had just one bad drop.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He had a bad drop, and after that, he was a different guy.
Yeah, the touchdown one, right?
Yep.
That was hard.
The first down that he picked up where Joe gave him he gave him a dot for sure.
Oh.
But to stay with that ball, to keep such strong hands, T. Higgins deserves endless credit because you knew they were going to try and take Jamar Chase out of this game, which for a good portion they did. In the red zone, one-on-one coverage, you're begging for Jamar to beat you. But other than that, T. Higgins stepped up to the plate and hit a home run.
The thing about that is, well, I do think it was a team effort. And this entire Bengals season has been a team effort. Their defense has stepped up. Evan McPherson, rookie kicker.
No doubt.
4 for 4 on field goals. He's been
beast.
ice-cold. He's been cold-blooded. He's stepped up. The offensive line actually had a worse game against the Chiefs than they did against the Titans. Yeah. They just didn't get more sacks on Burrow, but Joe Burrow has been letting the ball go out quicker, and I think that's a testament to his decision-making and knowing the situation. Like, okay, this doesn't favor me here. I know my offensive line isn't the greatest. I have to adjust accordingly. Our play calling has to adjust accordingly. And quite frankly, Zach Taylor, I'm going to talk about this more in depth when we go into the Herbert and Burrow debate. I get that Zach Taylor is the head coach for this team and they've made a Super Bowl run, but how good is he actually? Like, I know he's a good motivator. He can definitely get guys to buy in the locker room, but Joe Burrow left LSU. He left Ed Orgeron. Ed Orgeron is now fired. It wasn't until Joe Burrow got there to where he had that success at LSU. He made Ed Orgeron look like a great coach. He's making Zach Taylor look like a great coach right now. Burrow, I think, is the biggest reason, because we know the skill positions are there. Mixon got it going. The defense got it going. But ultimately, the Bengals, and it's the same thing with the Rams, the Bengals are winning these games because they have a quarterback who can bail them out of bad situations. And that's what it comes down to. And situationally, I can't think of a quarterback who's been better this season than Joe Burrow. You can name me that Stafford has the best quarterback rating in the fourth quarter. That's my guy.
Allen?
Josh Allen is amazing. You know how I feel about Josh Allen. Man,
in big moments, that's the only reason why it comes to mind, because Josh Allen, back against the wall, not once but twice, came to play in Kansas City.
I don't want to answer that question out of respect for Joe Burrow.
Fair enough. You know what? We don't want to be rude to Joe Burrow today. He deserves endless respect for what he did.
But ultimately,
we'll never, ever get a bad word coming out of my mouth just for beating Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship.
But ultimately, Joe Burrow, he's the biggest reason why the Bengals are here. And the Bengals have found a special guy at quarterback. And for him to be doing this thing, I don't want to waste my material on the debate later because I got a lot of stuff.
That's fair.
But Joe Burrow, that's just a guy that I look at, and I hope one day I could be as cool as him.